September 15th, 1999, there's a great turnout for See You at the Pole at schools all over the country. That evening at Wedgwood Baptist Church, students gather to celebrate with a rally.
The band was warming up, everything seemed to be going okay.
We were just all yelling and stuff, and then suddenly the yelling kind of changed. That it was yay, and then it was, just yelling, screaming and stuff. About 6:30, a man wearing all black and smoking a cigarette came into the church through the south entrance and opened fire.
It sounded like hammering on a wall.
It sounded like someone at the back of the church dropped this heavy, heavy box.
We didn't really know what was going on.
We heard gunshots and we thought it was a skit. We thought it was a joke.
I seen the window shatter. At that moment, I thought I knew it was kind of like gunfire.
So it was kind of, what's going on, and then everyone went down.
One of the most vivid memories in my mind is the flash from the barrel of the gun each and every time he fired.
Kennedy got shot!
And I remember when I looked over, about 3-4 feet from me was Steggy, and he was just coughing and moaning. He never really knew what hit him.
I got shot within the first 3 minutes. And so for the next 7, I couldn't move, I couldn't do anything.
I started thinking about myself, like, what would happen if this guy comes down these aisles and just starts shooting people. I mean, because we're only underneath pews.
I am scared half to death thinking, okay, I've been shot with a gun. I'm just thinking, I've got so much ahead of me, I can't die now.
And then I heard what was the last shot, and I turned my head because that was something I knew I didn't want visually in my mind. I couldn't see the guy, but I seen his feet, and I seen him go just fall out from underneath him.
He put it to his head and he shot himself.
And then it just stopped.
I remember the auditorium just seemed kind of quiet. It didn't seem like there was people screaming. It didn't seem, like anything bad was actually happening.
I remember hearing someone scream, he's dead or something like that, and that side kind of started running, and it kind of just like a wave, people started running.
And I could see Cassie just laying there, and she shook real hard, and then she laid really still.
We never had it crossed our mind that something like a shooting could happen at our church, or in our city or anything.
So, I was still kind of like, oh my gosh, someone just walked into a church building and killed 7 people.
There are people who want to know what it feels like, just to know, and I always try to tell them, you don't want to know because you don't want to live through it. Because, it's basically, we've lived through 8 minutes of hell.
Every time you walk in the sanctuary, every time you go to church, you're thrown back in there. It was so weird to see the bullet holes in the walls or to see the couch in the foyer missing.
And I could look down to the floor where I was sitting and where Steggy and Cassie had been and Christy Beckel had been, and I could see where their pews were missing and where the carpet had been torn up.
It's just like, you can't let it go. There's no closing moment to it because you're there all the time.
For the longest time, I couldn't stand to close my eyes because I kept seeing his face. Just all the memories that I have from that night just run through my brain, and it's hard. It scares me sometimes.
For a long time, I just felt so numb. I didn't know what to do.
Sometimes I'll jump at the sound of a door slamming or somebody drops a book in class, and it kind of scares me.
I couldn't even walk out to my garage without turning on the lights and checking everything and checking my car and even sometimes my trunk,
If I'm in a room, I don't want to sit by the door. Or if I do sit by the door, I want to sit, if the door opens this way, I want to sit on this side because he'll see this section first.
And nothing is okay anymore because I just feel like, today could be my last. And I don't know when, and I'm scared that, something's going to happen again, especially at school.
The teachers, they just kept pushing, thinking that I should be over it.
And it upset me that they thought that I could just get over it so fast,
I felt like everyone was staring at me.
You're the one that counselors are standing next to in case you freak out at the sound of drums or whatever.
I wanted them to be considerate of everything, but at the same time, I got
annoyed by people when they'd be like, oh, I know how you feel, you know, stuff like that, because they didn't really know how I felt.
And they'll never be able to understand you. They'll never be able to relate to you. It's, I felt like I was alone all the time.
Just the stress of thinking that it could actually happen again.
Nothing really has gotten back to normal. We've gotten back to a new normal.
That night gave me a sense of what I should be doing and kind of asked the question, why wasn't I doing it? It was a turnaround point.
For the rest of my life, people will look at me and say, you know, she's not had it easy. And, you know, she's been through a lot of stuff in her own personal life, but then she went through this horrible, horrible tragedy. But she says there is still a God. If God can stand that kind of test in her life, what can He do in mine?
I've really been so eager to get on and find out what God has planned for me, because I know, because I was protected, there's something special that He's got planned for me.
You kind of wish you'd never seen those things. You wish that you had never been there, that you'd stayed home that night, that you never went to that church. But then you see what an opportunity God has blessed you with. I will always miss my friends, and those thoughts will always be at the back of your mind. But always inside my spirit is that God is still God. He wasn't taken away that night. He didn't go to dinner. He wasn't on vacation. He was right there with us. I feel really blessed that God chose me to be there so that I can show the world that He is God, that He is holy.